Hello, good evening, and welcome to my channel. Tonight it is time for another single review because I've read and finished a book. Not a book from the actual current Booker long list. I've read 3 of those books and reviewed them all, but I've read and finished a book that was on the long list of 2021, and that was the only Canadian title. That was A Town Called Solace by Mary Lawson. So let's go with the review. I have Crow Lake, the first novel that Mary Lawson wrote, on my shelves. I haven't read it yet. So A Town Called Solace was the first novel that I read by Mary Lawson. Mary Lawson was born in 1946, so she is 75 or 76 years old. We don't have her exact birthday. She studied psychology at McGill University in Montreal, Canada, and that's where she also met her husband. She got married to an English psychologist, and they moved to England. They have a family there. They live in Kingston upon Thames for many years. But Mary Lawson has written 4 novels now, and all these 4 novels play out in Canada, in her home province of Ontario, and mostly in northern Ontario, I learned. And this is also the case with A Town Called Solace. A Town Called Solace is basically told in 3 different perspectives. There is Clara, an 8-year-old girl who lives with her parents and actually her older sister Rose in a house in Solace, but Rose is missing and the family is in great trouble and great turmoil. Rose is missing. She went off maybe to Toronto, nobody knows. She has been gone for 2 weeks. And little Clara, she takes care of a cat. Goes by the name of Moses, who lives at Mrs. Orchard's house, which is the neighboring house to Clara's family. Mrs. Orchard had to go to the hospital, and she is telling her story in the first person singular, and she's in the hospital and she will not get out of there. She will die in the hospital. She has given her house, she's a widow, and she has given her house to a guy called Liam Kane, who has moved into her house, which upsets Clara in a way because Clara doesn't know that Liam Kane has come in there, and she's scared that he might do something to the cat Moses. And these 3 people tell the story, which is connected, of course. There is the missing girl, there's Rose, who left for Toronto. There is some secret that has occurred in Mrs. Orchard's life many years ago, and there's a reason why Liam, who's not related, is not a relative to Mrs. Orchard, has been given the house. And the story moves on very slowly. It's a small town in northern Ontario where the weather gets pretty cold already in August and September. It's a town where not many people live. It's a small Canadian town, and everybody knows each other, and there's a very quiet, peaceful life going on, but this life has been sort of stirred up, and things happen there. And Liam is driving home with his car. He wants to sell the house from Mrs. Orchard. He wants to fix the house. He wants to sell the house as soon as possible and wants to get back south. Behind Liam is a marriage that went wrong. He fled that marriage, you could say, and moved to northern Ontario to that house that he's been given to by Mrs. Orchard. Liam was once the neighbor of Mrs. Orchard when he was a very little boy. And Liam's parents seemed to never have really cared about Liam, which we don't know for sure because Mrs. Orchard is telling us her story in the first person singular, and she's not a very reliable narrator very often. She is a woman who has desperately tried to get pregnant, who has desperately tried to become a mother, but she never succeeded. So she takes care of little Liam, the neighbor boy, and she loves to see, and she wants to see that Liam is not being loved by his parents and by his mother, so that she becomes sort of an extra mother. That's the backstory of Mrs. Orchard. How that all goes and how that ends is very interesting. But this is also about Solace. Solace is a town in northern Ontario that does not exist. If you want to look it up, you won't find it. So solace is also a word that means comfort, that means something like hope, some positive things for people who are troubled. And those people we meet in that story, they all need solace. Driving home, he was struck by the thought that increasingly his life prior to coming north seemed to be taking on the quality of an old movie, one in which he'd been deeply engrossed while watching it, but which now seemed trivial, unconvincing, and profoundly lacking in either color or plot. Solace had color and plot in spades, maybe too much. In every way it was coming to seem more real than Toronto, with its endless malls and traffic jams and high-powered jobs. Though maybe, if he went back to Toronto, the same would be true in reverse. Maybe, when he'd been back for a couple of months, he'd find that it was Solace that seemed unreal. Its unremarkable streets and stores like something from a dream, its dramatic landscape fading to nothing like a holiday photo left in the sun. This novel is about 300 pages long, told in 3 different perspectives, very quietly moving on, but this is a novel with a lot of grace, with a lot of quiet, with a lot of psychology. Remember, this woman, Mary Lawson, the author, is a psychologist, and you see that in the book. You come to sort of like all the characters, although they're all have their problems, and the story is told in such a graceful way, in such a beautiful way, that this has reminded me a lot of the novels by Elizabeth Strout that I read in July and in August. My name is Lucy Barton, and O. William. Like, also there is an author who knows a lot about life and about things that life can change, that life can go wrong, that life can be very arbitrary sometimes. And it also reminded me of Ann Tyler, which I read last year with her book Redhead by the Side of the Road. And Ann Tyler blurbs this book actually by saying, "I've been telling everyone I know about Mary Lawson. Each of her novels is just a marvel." And that's what this book is, this Canadian piece of literature, A Town Called Solace. It's a marvel. It's a beautiful book. It's a definitely 5-star read by a storyteller who knows how to tell a story, who loves her characters. And I also love the Canadian sort of Canadian touch to it, because there's a lot of nature of northern Ontario and Canada playing in this book, and it also does something to the characters. And this is maybe something that I like about Canadian literature, because very often we have descriptions of nature and how nature and humans interact with each other, and there's a big surprise in the end, and there's a lot of solace. This is a sad book with a beautiful happy end, and I don't think this end is kitsch, so I liked it really a lot. This is a book, A Town Called Solace, that gives you solace. Thanks for watching this video. I see you on Sunday with a Sunday sum up. Bye-bye.